For me, I was more miserable trying to make everyone else happy than I am now with everyone else unhappy with me. And so I think like from the social group that I had before I quit my job, if we're going all the way like ground zero to today, I talk to no one.
If you're going through that right now, and I promise you, every single person who wants to do something with their life and has done something with their life has gone through the exact chapter that you're going through, and it's the lonely chapter. The sign of success is the hate that you get along the way, and what you can't do is bend the knee to their hate and fit back into the conformity because it's comfortable and it's warm.
The superpower of learning to be alone and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's critical, and I do think that these times where you just think about things, just be alone and think about things, are so rare these days. And I think during those rare times is when you really get to understand what you actually believe or don't believe.
Have you ever felt completely alone in your journey, even when you're surrounded by people? This is the entrepreneur's path, especially early on. You need to capture momentum and you just have to keep moving forward. But to do that, it means making sacrifices. You have to sacrifice time socially with people. You have to sacrifice, in many cases, relationships. You have to be alone to do the deep work required to bring a quality product or service to the market. To enter the market, whether it's something new and innovative or something that's a little more on the commoditized end of the spectrum, you have to figure out a lot of problems in terms of distribution. How are you different? How's your pitch different? How's your brand different? There's all of these problems, and there are new ones that pop up every single day at a smaller scale. Sometimes those are one-off, but you have to be constantly solving problems. And to do that, you cannot just always be in a state of flow, especially early on when it's perhaps just you. Now, if you have a co-founder, that's great. But today, a lot of people, they start businesses as solo founders, and that's tough. It's tough enough when you have co-founders, and that comes with a different set of complexities because you have to kind of navigate each other's personality. I know, I've been there in the past. But more often, I've been a solo founder. And I think I'm somewhat lucky because it's very difficult, but also I've just developed the ability to kind of move back and forth between more technical things and then also marketing. But it's not easy. It's like switching in between different rooms in my brain, and it's really tiring. So I don't recommend it. And I don't recommend entrepreneurship in general. That may come as a surprise, but when I first started out in entrepreneurship, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I thought everyone should do this. I thought only positive things, like this is really tough, but it is, your character is forged in the crucible of fire, right? You know, you become a better person because the market, the people, the customers, the environment, everything is pushing against you, and it's polishing you, and it's polishing your business, and it's polishing your product if you let it, if you learn how to flow and adapt and refine as you go forward. But that was in college. The environment was a bit more controlled. It was easy to see it in terms of all sunshine and rainbows. But coming out of college, when I started my first real business, where it was either you have to make money to pay the rent and pay all your other bills, or you're on the street. And that was tougher. I constantly think of this quote from Paul Graham, who is the founder. He actually went to the same college as me. Very intelligent guy, successful entrepreneur, but better well known for being the founder of an entrepreneurial venture capital incubator. I guess it's more of a VC firm today, but it was more of an incubator. It's somewhere in the middle now, I suppose. But he created Y Combinator. Some of the most famous and most successful companies in the world have come out of Y Combinator, like Airbnb, for example. They have terrible customer service, by the way. Don't use Airbnb. But lots of other very successful companies have come out of that or gone through their investment and incubation program. And when asked, though, if he would invest in ventures where it was like one founder, for example, he would say, it's tough, usually not. Because he called it the moral fortitude required to give birth to a company and to really to lift it up from scratch, it's immense. And I completely agree, having been through it multiple times. And I relate that to this concept of, or this problem of like loneliness and feeling alone and being alone as an entrepreneur and the necessity for it. My first year in business, I had to detach from my family and even friends. And I moved out against the wishes of my family. They wanted me to get a job. I had a couple of businesses in college, and I believed I was ready to just go out and do it. And it turns out that I was, but it was a rough path. There were months where within a matter of days, certain bills like the rent would be due, and I'd be like, oh crap, I have to wake up at 4:30 and go out to this networking event and sell. If I don't sell, if I don't land a new client, a new project, what am I going to do? I had to learn how to hire because technically I was basically a freelancer in those early first 1 or 2 months. I thought, oh, I'll do the design myself. And quickly I realized, okay, I'm better at sales. I have an eye for design perhaps, but better to hire designers who are better than me at that. And so we became an agency. We got our first couple of clients, started sending emails, but again, didn't know what I didn't know about marketing. It was kind of a naive gamble. And I actually took on a partner briefly at one point. And then because we had diverging visions, I had to actually remove him from the company. We were just butting heads and it wasn't good because I knew that we had to be consistent. We had to put our heads down, and that was nice. That was actually nice to actually share the journey with someone. But then maybe you've been through this, whether it's family or friends or partners, having to split off from that relationship because it's what's best for the success of the business, or it's what is necessary to get deep work done. Initially, if you stop to think about it, which there are going to be moments where you're alone. If you're watching this, chances are you've experienced them. And it's not a great feeling. You wonder, you question, is this going somewhere? Is this going to be successful? Is this sacrifice going to be worth it? A month, 3 months, a year, years from now? You don't know. You're just chewing glass and staring into the abyss, quote what someone else said. And the thing about being alone, feeling alone, or loneliness as an entrepreneur, it can create additional potential liabilities for you because we're human. We are social creatures. And if we are isolated for too long, you kind of need that personal connection. There's this TV show called Alone. Maybe you've seen it or heard about it. But basically, it's a brilliant show because it's probably one of the cheapest shows ever to produce. They basically scout out a location, usually in Canada, and these, I believe it's 10 or 12 contestants who are survival professionals or experts. They will go set up camp and just try to survive, killing wild game, making their own bows and arrows, setting up their own shelter, and literally surviving. Sometimes they get sick and they have to be pulled out. Sometimes they'll see a giant bear or a boar and they'll go kill the bear. It's pretty realistic for a reality show. Seems pretty authentic, I should say. But the thing that is interesting about this show is that almost everyone who participates universally, especially as the weeks roll on, they talk about missing their friends and their family and a lot of them leave not because they're doing poorly in terms of maintaining, it's because their minds, their emotions, their need to be social, it runs away from them. It owns them. That it's like a neurobiological instinct. And they say, you know what, screw this. I could win $500,000 or $1 million, but I'm going to go home to my family. My wife's missing me, my kids are missing me, and I'm missing them, and this is not worth it. Because when they first start out, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to win, no problem. But the show is so aptly called Alone because that feeling of being alone, that isolation, especially they just get bored. Their minds just take over. It's easy to say can't even go beyond, most of them beyond the 2-month mark because it's just that pull. And it's easy to think watching this as I do, it's that's the reason you're quitting. Come on. At least in this game, you know for a fact you've got your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your family waiting for you when it's over. And you know from watching the show, it's not going to go beyond 80, 90, 100 days in just about every case. Entrepreneurship is a little different. If you are literally sacrificing that valuable time, and I know many people watching this probably are in 20s, 30s, early 40s. You've either been through it or you're going through it. And there's actually more ambiguity there than there is with that game show because it's like with relationships that you build them over time, right? So this social need in the meantime, if you give into it, can actually hurt you because number one, your mind can run away with you. You can start being harsh with yourself and you can begin investing in conversations and friendships and relationships and that are actually not going to serve your success in business. Because where focus goes, money flows. And if you are 100% focused on your business success, the time it's going to take for you to start building momentum in terms of cash flow, positive cash flow, it's going to precipitously be cut down. But you have to go through, as I put it in another video, you have to go through that pain tunnel. In the previous video, I talked about Mark Zuckerberg saying in the early days of Facebook to a fellow developer, one of the early employees of Facebook, if I can build Facebook, you can build a search engine. And there's this idea that you believe in yourself, you can do anything, and it's true. But you have to go through that pain tunnel of self-doubt in this case to come out the other side. In this case, it's very much tied into this, the pain of isolation, the pain of feeling alone. And there's all sorts of layers to this that you can unpack. But as Charles Bukowski said, isolation, solitude is the gift. Think about that. Think about what that means. Some research to support this is that according to Founder Reports, 26.9% of entrepreneurs struggle with loneliness and isolation, emphasizing that this is a common challenge faced by many business owners. In addition, entrepreneurs are 5.5 times more likely to experience loneliness than the general population, according to research from Good Finance. And this highlights how unique and intense the entrepreneurial path is. It's a struggle. It is a journey. It is a rocky adventure up the mountain. So the problem in this case, I think, is also the solution. So I can give you solutions like build a support network, set clear boundaries for social time, be proactive in terms of social engagement by joining online communities and attending networking events. But conversation and communication outside of your work, if you have the goal to be successful, it's unreasonable, and yet it will get you results if you totally focus on it. Because conversation and communication, just for the, to satisfy that short-term need of like, oh, I'm not being social. Oh, I'm sacrificing. Oh, I need to have these relationships in my life. It can turn into just mental masturbation. And it's going to waste your time. It's going to waste your time and waste your energy. And from my experience, going through that tunnel of discomfort where I was just incredibly isolated on Long Island that first year in business, I had very little social life, very little money. I think I went out on just like 2 or 3 dates for an entire year. And once every couple of weeks, I would hang out with friends. But even those small interactions, they didn't help. But luckily, the other 95% of my time, or like probably 97%, I was obsessed. I was focused. And that first year in business, we did 6 figures. I was very proud of that. I didn't expect that, but I just kept working. I just kept working. I went through the tunnel. And after a certain point, the success that came from that, I didn't feel alone. I felt like the sacrifice of being less social, it was paying off. The decision itself was validated by reality. Because when you make a decision like that to sacrifice, fear is pulling you in the other direction. But if you can see progress, and if you can start to see results, that is going to pull you forward. Keep that in mind. That is, I guess, one hack as a way to actually go through it. Because you have to go through it. To be successful, I think you have to be comfortable being alone. Not just metaphorically, be willing to decide on your own, stand on your own, but literally, to be alone with yourself and reflect, why is it uncomfortable to just sit alone with your own thoughts? Why? It's a good question. The answer is likely different for every person. According to Pascal, all of man's problems are a result of his inability to sit in a room alone. I'm paraphrasing, it's not a perfect quotation, but makes sense. Through this process, I think networking events can be useful, but a lot of networking events, most people there are not worth talking to. When I go to a networking event, I will just find 1 or 2 people and just spend all my time with talking with them, who I believe are high quality and worth. And maybe this is what you already do too, but even then, you're at risk of like, okay, are you going to know this person beyond tonight? Because I'll go to a networking event and sometimes I would even do that. I would be standing talking to one person, investing my time, the most valuable asset that any of us have. And then it was a good connection. It was a good conversation. You enjoyed it. The other person enjoyed it. Might never hear from that person again. Was it worth it? Think about that, because losing time is your greatest risk. And the more time you put into your business, the more focus, the faster that you can accelerate. And conversely, too, the faster that you will stop caring about being alone in the first place, which is the problem itself. And also the solution. Isolation is the gift. Charles Bukowski. To do the coding that I'm working on right now to benefit our team, we're building this internal AI coding tool, and we want to take our AI automation platform to the next level, as well as our Done For You service, which is our flagship revenue generator right now. To do that, I have to be alone. I have to be offline. I cannot be also in the chat all the time, and I'm not. So for the entire morning, 4 to 5 hours, I'm usually offline, focused, coding. That's what works for me, to find what works for you. In a similar way, if you are making content, writing articles, doing marketing activities in general, setting up your funnel, if you're not sitting down and thinking about it, but instead you're just always getting on a call like with your team members, again, like that can be productive, but you're taking your time and their time multiplied by however many people are on the call. This is why meetings can be incredibly unproductive, because then it's like the tasks are almost held in common between everyone who is there. And unless you are very clear about delegating, which is part of the value proposition that we sell as part of our done for you service at Grobo, delegate unlimited marketing tasks without the headaches of hiring, basically just solved my own problem at the time. I knew that the market needed, because I knew that I needed just an all-in-one marketing team where I could say, look, can you make this video? Can you set up this landing page? Can you write this content? Can we consult about strategy over here? Copywriting, design, development, dev support, ads management, and a lot more. So check it out at grobo.com if you're interested. It's a $7 for 7-day trial. Pretty smooth transition, right? But yeah, check it out. And it's actually, we have a free preview option. So you can sign up for free. You can check out what it's like to actually set up a project template or task template and prepare it for delegation. We also have a $300 value proven sales conversion pack info product. It's like a database of over 300 A/B tests that I've broken down and organized for you, so you can get like really useful tactics on conversion by going and signing up for free as well. So I hope this video was valuable for you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What has been your experience as an entrepreneur thus far, especially in those early days? And do you agree or disagree with what I'm telling you here has worked in my experience? Because again, I've made the most progress and the fastest whenever I was completely focused and alone, able to do that deep work, just concentrated and moving towards those things that are often uncomfortable, those decisions that too often, we as entrepreneurs avoid. It's so easy to be distracted today by just things that are nonsense, like on social media, for example, or the news, things that may never, ever affect us directly. Just more information. And yet we don't learn, and yet we don't actually apply. So I'd love to hear from you. What is that specific thing that you plan to put into action for you, that you've absorbed and that you're going to apply now? I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you got value from this video, please like it, subscribe, and share. That's really the biggest compliment that you can give to us. That's how we continue to grow. If you share this with others, really appreciate it in advance. And once again, if you'd like to learn more about how we can help you to do more of that really important deep work by helping you to delegate so you can work more on rather than in your business, you can just delegate all the marketing tasks that you do not want to be working on, maybe because they're not part of your strength. Like for example, this video is put together by just the amazing video motion graphics team. And I don't have to actually do that part of it. Instead, I focus on, for example, writing the script for it and whatnot. So check it out at grobo.com, kind of like Growbot, but grobo.com. You can sign up for free to check it out and book a call if you have questions. All right. So I'll see you in the next video, and I'll leave you with this. You may be walking this path alone, but those feelings of loneliness or isolation, they won't be there forever. You're not alone forever. It's just for now. It's a sacrifice, yes, but sacrifice is a synonym for an investment. So reach out, connect with other fellow entrepreneurs to get your social needs met as needed, but stay focused and go through that tunnel. You'll come out on the other side a better you and with a growing business. I'll see you in the next video. Keep Groboing and stay focused. I'll see you later.